Hairstylist Madison Stroop, 24, and life insurance agent Zach Stroop, 26, live outside of Fort Collins, Colorado, where both were born and raised. But their wedding day was not the event they always envisioned. When Zach was first diagnosed with aggressive stage 4 cancer in 2020, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in his liver and lungs, the couple were beyond shocked. Zach and Madison met in a high school catering class in 2015. Graduating the year before Madison, Zach took a chance and messaged her on social media. "We just fell in love so quickly," Zach reflected. "It's just been perfect ever since. She's all that I could ever ask for in a wife and as a soulmate." Madison said Zach was always a healthy person and never got sick. So when he began losing weight, complaining of achy joints, and had more frequent visits to the bathroom in February 2020, she took notice. Zach was diagnosed with Crohn's disease 2 months later and expected to feel better with medication, but his weight loss persisted alongside night fevers and itchy skin. The couple has leaned on faith and family since the beginning of Zach's cancer battle. He said, "I remember back in February and March when I was doing physical therapy every day. That was definitely the hardest time because I was the weakest then, the most immobile. I'd always pray really late at night, and whenever I prayed, I always lost all my anxiety. I almost felt calm, and I was actually able to go to sleep." After Zach's initial bone marrow biopsy, PET scan, and lumbar puncture, he started treatments right away. He soldiered through 6 rounds of intense chemotherapy, but contrary to doctors' predictions, he started feeling worse. He dropped from 240 pounds to around 165 pounds, and by September 2021, a tingling in his feet started shooting up the back of his legs. Madison, who was researching Zach's type of cancer, worried that he had a problem with his central nervous system. Zach's oncologist suspected peripheral neuropathy from his chemotherapy treatment, but one day in November 2021, Zach woke up numb from the waist down. He walked into an MRI appointment, but by the time the scan was over, he was completely paralyzed. He was transferred into the care of blood cancer specialists at Presbyterian St. Luke's in Denver. They didn't have much time. Doctors started running tests, and then the neurosurgeon said they had found a tumor in Zach's spinal cord. They needed to operate right away, or he'd risk being paralyzed permanently. Zach pulled through surgery and shifted his focus to working on the impaired mobility on the right side of his body. In the hospital for further chemo between January and March, he had to learn how to write, tie his shoes, brush his teeth, and go to the bathroom by himself all over again. He also suffered infections, sepsis, and a punctured lung. Then an emergency surgery for his perforated colon put his life on the line once again. The colorectal surgeon claimed Zach's successful surgery was a true miracle. Zach was left with a feeding tube and ileostomy bag, reminders of his ongoing battle. The couple got engaged in March of 2021 and had postponed 2 wedding dates owing to Zach's cancer battle in January and May of 2022, but Zach was still hospitalized. The couple was so in love with each other and didn't want to have regrets, so their social worker presented the idea of having a hospital wedding. Zach and Madison looked at each other and were like, "Yeah, let's do it. Why not?" Within 48 hours, nurses and social workers had rallied together, ordering a cake, decorations, and a bouquet for the bride for the April 15th ceremony. Madison's parents collected hers and Zach's wedding outfits, and Madison's father, Chris, came to the hospital to help the groom get ready. Madison remembers getting ready in the bone marrow transplant ward with her mother and the nurses, 1 floor beneath her husband-to-be, who was in the oncology ward. One of the charge nurses came in on her day off and did my hair and makeup, she said. My dress wasn't hemmed yet because we had postponed our wedding, so she took a whole bunch of safety pins and pinned my dress. I remember going up to the 4th floor, my dad standing there. Of course, he's crying, I'm crying. Then all the other patients are standing outside of their rooms watching us get married. I started walking down this long hospital hallway, and I see all of these nurses and doctors. They all had their cameras out and they were dressed up. Madison turned the corner to see Zach in his wheelchair, hooked up to his chemo treatment and a pain pump. But what she remembers best is the smile on his face. "I knew that he was fighting so hard just to be there," she said. "Being able to get married to him that day was the best day of my life. Even though it wasn't the wedding that we initially thought, it really couldn't have been any better." On June 6th came the great news. Zach was approved for a bone marrow transplant and later learned that Zach's cancer had gone into remission. It worked. August 16th, he was declared cancer-free. Now that he is healthy enough to go home, the couple is learning just how precious life is as they relish the little things like waking up in bed next to each other. What keeps Zach strong is the unconditional love of his wife and the future they'll now be able to share together. "I knew that once I get through all this, we live our lives happy, just everything that we ever wanted," he said. "It was hard, but I kept looking forward to the end goal."